I came across this post today. Karma isn't real. I'm assuming it's karma. So, karma happens to be one of my favorite topics to discuss because it's so easily misunderstood. And this basically got my interest, right? So, I took a reading at it and pretty good discussions, fairly accurate descriptions of karma in the comments. So, there are a lot of people who are aware of what the correct definition and what the actual meaning of karma is. But I thought this post itself, right? Um, the original poster is still in a very negative state of mind, in a lot of suffering, and so I wanted to go over this like line by line, and kind of point out to you what is likely going on in this person's mind that is contributing to this kind of a reality. And the reason why I'm doing this post in particular, because I don't do this for every Reddit post I see, but I actually come across a lot of people who think in this exact kind of a way. So, for example, like, I've done my best, but why do I deserve this? This is a very common repertoire that I hear. The people who mistreated me, bullied me, are living like decent lives with endless enabling. This is again something that I hear very often. Why should I even bother being a human being? This is again something I hear a lot of times. So today I want to kind of dissect the phenomenon of this happening. So let's read this line by line, right? Karma isn't real. I've genuinely done my best to be a good person. I try to be kind, patient, and forgiving. I'm constantly mistreated. I've been lied about and lost my entire social circle. I've been treated terribly by the people around me. I have had no support system whatsoever. I've literally gotten nothing for my efforts. But the person who lied about me is living happily. The people who mistreat me are living decent lives with an endless enabling. Why do I deserve this? What are my efforts for? Why are my efforts for nothing if I'm endlessly going to be fucked over? I didn't deserve this. Why should I even being a decent human being? I genuinely don't know anymore. It's gotten me nothing. All my struggle feels worthless. So, if we are looking at just the logic of everything, right? Just logic wise, what are the errors that we can identify here? Number one is the concept of good uh, versus bad is very inherent in this person's mind, right? Basically, there are very strict definitions of what is considered good, and that there's very specific definition about what is bad. And this person is believing that they are doing a lot of good, therefore they deserve a lot of good. So from the get-go, you can see that this is a very transactional relationship with the world, right? I give you this, you give me this. Okay. But what do transactions base its what does a transaction base itself out of? An agreement, right? But this person believes that they have an agreement with the world. I'm good, therefore you have to treat me good. But the world never really signed a contract saying that they will comply to this person's wishes, right? So, because of that, this person is playing a one-sided deal and basically thinking that, oh, everything is so poor, like I'm not getting the fair kind of a treatment that I deserve. So, you've done a genuinely my best to be a good person, but why? I tried to be kind, patient, and forgiving for a price tag. This is deeply covered in the Buddhist text Diamond Sutra. This isn't genuine compassion. This isn't genuinely being good. This is just trying to get your end of the deal. So, all these actions that you thought you were doing out of like good to be a good person, turns out it's not. It's a deal that you are asking and demanding that the world repay you in. What's another example of this? The common example is that like one person, right? He believes that he has a pure mind. This is an old Japanese Buddhism tale, and he was wearing a coat because it was so cold, right? And then he was walking down the near the castles of Japan at the time, and then he saw a beggar a homeless person in the streets wearing very little clothing, shivering in the cold, right? And then the monk, right? The person who was doing good in the world, who thought he was doing good in the world, right? Thought he was very noble. He took off his coat and then he gave it to the homeless person, right? And the homeless person was just took it and then like didn't even look, right? And then so this starts to upset the monk, right? What? Come on, like this is so cold, you're shivering, and I gave you like it was a good quality coat too. How, like, aren't you even a little bit grateful for this? You don't even look at me in the eye and tell me that you're thankful? And then, the story goes that that was one of the Buddhas in disguise, here to test that monk, right? And turns around and says, huh, I, a Buddha, took your coat out of my grace, and you don't even thank me? And you dare be angry at me? So basically, that Bodhisattva or Buddha is basically trying to point out the logical error, right? Because if I did it purely out of my compassion, there's no strings attached. I don't care when I give food to the homeless person. If I'm gonna be attached, like, is this person actually eating it? Are they grateful for me? Like, then it's like I'm forcing them to comply into a transaction that they might not even want to be a part of, right? So it's like me shooting a video, like a TikTok video, like me giving homeless people, and then being like, oh, come on, you didn't make my good camera footage. Like, that's not really good action, right? That's not really as compassionate as one may think. So, what I'm trying to point out is that genuinely done my best to be a good person and tried to be kind, patient, and forgiving. But it was to fulfill some kind of a manipulation to the world. Right? That's the error. So in terms of the three Buddhist vices, right? Greed and being consumed and ignorance, or something I call silliness. This person is being silly. He or she doesn't really understand what karma is and what actually like good actions are, and what compassionate actions without expectations are. And as the comment says, you don't know what karma means. Karma is not about good actions or bad actions. Karma is about cause and effect. So, even though I generalize and say there are good traits that you can do, like, it's all up to interpretation, right? So, for example, I give homeless person food. And I give homeless person food without expecting anything in return. And then I go about my day. So you might think that's a very compassionate kind of a thing for me to do. But what if that food was spoiled and I just didn't have any clue? And then now from the homeless person's perspective, right? Oh my god, this guy fucking trying to be nice and it ended up poisoning me. Now I have like crazy stomach ache and the food poisoning. Ooh, fuck that guy. And so now I became this like really horrible person who poisons this homeless person for fun, right? And so that is basically what may be happening in here as well, right? Like, there's no good action and there's no bad action. Depending on how I interpret it, depending on how I act upon it, it's all a matter of perspective. Do I intend to poison this homeless person out of my malice? If I comply by that, then I can do some self-critique around, oh man, I got consumed by my anger and I actually wished to do this person harm. That is something I can repent, right? But one thing for me is I really wanted to feed this person. Good. So I go with that and I expect nothing in return. I just do what I want to do. Out of, I see this person who is hungry. So I want to feed this person. And even if they don't eat my food, it's okay. They can throw it away. I don't need it. And might as well give that food a chance to be eaten by someone in more need. So from that perspective, like my intent, right? It's not to harm another person. So now that's on my end. But on the receiving side, you can be thankful. You can be like, oh, I don't even like, rice. Or like whatever I gave them. And the water's Dasani. I only like Evian water. Like, that could totally be a possibility, right? And like I said, the food could have been poisoned. And be like, oh man, fuck that guy. Like, he poisoned me. So that's on the receiving end. Now, depending on how you look at things, right? So Suppose I'm a beggar in the streets, and I am, I just got fed by someone, and then I'm like, ah, man, but I really like pastrami. Like, you didn't really have pastrami. So other people may say I'm an ungrateful person, but the thing is, like, I've been wronged, right? Like, why don't they know? Like, if they're gonna get food for me, if they're gonna go that extra mile, why can't they give me something I actually want and need, right? So that in when I live in that world, I'm a victim, right? But if I have been truly starving for like 2 weeks, and I could really use anything to eat, and this person leaves like a, you know, uh, really underseasoned and cold chicken noodle soup. Thank you so much, right? And it has nothing to do with the actual food. It's really dependent on my reality, how I am receiving the food. That's what matters, right? So that's what relates to this line. I'm constantly mistreated. This person is living in a reality where they are looking at everything that they receive in the world, and they are looking at it in a critical manner. So, if I suppose I think the best way to go to get to Los Angeles is to take the 405 and then the 10 if you live in Los Angeles. But that's how I think based on my experiences, right? But then another person might be like, no, 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 no. You take the local to the 101 and then you take the 101 all the way to LA. So, suppose in one particular day, I recommended to someone, take the 405 and take the 10. But then on that day, traffic turned out to be really horrible on the 405, and on the 101, it was great. Now, did I lie to that person? Now, me aside, from the person who got directions from me, they can totally be like, oh man, this Billy guy doesn't know anything jack shit about traffic and he lied to me. Right? And suppose I pay a certain amount for a service. And I say, oh no man, it's super cheap. You should just sign up for that. It's like something something. But then I just wasn't aware that I was getting a deal. And then this person believed me and then signed up for that service, and then they looked at their bill and then they're like, whoa, it's expensive. And so again, from their perspective, Billy's a fucking liar, right? So what matters less in the grand scheme of things is what they actually did. Someone can actually lie to me and tell me that pee is good for me. But then what if I happen to be in a health condition where, like, drinking copious amounts of pee turned out to be good for me, right? Then that person may have lied on their intent, but it ended up helping me, and now I'm thankful for them, right? So much of my experience depends on my perspective and my inner world. And so what is happening is this person is living in a reality where they are receiving nothing for their efforts. So when you point out to people who are living like this, right? But before we go to that, the person who lied about me is living happily. How do you know? You don't, right? They may look happy, but who knows? They might be eating themselves up on the inside, right? What's a decent life? What's endless enabling? They truly have no problems. Do you really know? You don't, right? So these are all just like things, and now we get to the comment section, right? So this person provides some insight about, karma, and it's like, then why do the people I mentioned get the correct response? So if someone's manipulative and genuinely horrible, they get the correct outcome because they were good at manipulating people, so I should follow suit, and then, basically, look, I shouldn't have to go to therapy over this. I shouldn't have to love, like, all these things, right? So, but the thing is, there's nothing bad about this, right? What I'm really interested in, talking about to you today is what, like, logical errors and thought errors aside, when you're consumed by this feeling, when your heart is deep, deep, deep in to this suffering, right? Nothing anybody says matters. Because why? That's exactly what's happening in this post, right? And what's happening in this post is exactly what's happening in the comment section. So these people are giving like more or less correct answers about what karma is. But what's being received is it's unfair, right? So again, this person is reciprocating and continuing on the cycle of I've gotten literally no help from this post. Yeah. You all comment all these things, but I did my best to write this post. I tried to be explanatory, I tried to be patient, and I tried to be understanding, but I'm mistreated by this comment section. I've been lied to, and I lost all my, blah blah blah. I've been treated horribly by the people who are commenting here. I have no support system whatsoever. I've gotten literally nothing for writing about this in this post. So that's exactly what is happening here. Because why? That's what's living in their heart, right? So I explained in other videos too, but there are things that happen at the thought level, right? And then there are things that happen at the heart level. So the way I explain it is like I have to wake up at 5 a.m. to surf tomorrow, but I'm in bed. I'm like, oh man, I have to wake up. Oh man, I'm so tired. I need to get up. I should get up. Oh. So if I'm doing that, I'm thinking I need to get up, right? But reality wise, my heart, I don't want to get up. I want to sleep more. So it doesn't matter what my head is thinking. My heart usually tends to come out on top. So this person is posting here because why? What is their thought thinking? They want an explanation for this, right? I want an explanation, and I want to vent, right? But what is the heart actually believing in? The heart believes everything is unfair. And I am a victim. I have been wronged. I've been wronged. And the world is unjust, right? That's what's really just sitting at the root of the heart. So, yeah, the head can think many different things, but unless this heart is seen and noticed by this individual, oh wow, I'm just feeling really victimized right now. I've been severely injured in my heart. And so, this person is unaware of how much they are actually hurting inside. Yeah, like, why do I deserve this? And these are more like expressions of anger, right? But what needs to be really witnessed is, oh my God, I'm really, really feeling hurt. And because of this hurt, right now, I'm just deeply, deeply angry, and I'm deeply, deeply upset at the world. Everyone in the world is holding up a knife and they're out to get me, and I am this really small being. And as long as that narrative doesn't change, this person's reality doesn't change. And nobody else has influence over this. This person needs to realize that they are the ones feeling this intense amount of pain from all these wounds, and they have minimized themselves. They need to be aware that this is an experience that's happening inside of them. And this expression of anger, right? Anger, being angry and reacting to the anger, yeah, it gets you like some relief, right? You feel kind of like, got that off of my chest. But what's gonna happen the next time something happens? It's still going to feel unfair, right? So it's gonna inspire that anger again. So as long as the heart perspective, that the world is an unfair place, and all these things fucking happened to me. I didn't do anything to deserve these. As long as that reality is set in stone, no amount of external things happening is gonna change that. Change how this person experiences life. So, this is why it's so important to recognize and learn the difference between the head thoughts and the heart beliefs. Like, and how you do that is the heart usually wins. Which is why when I don't want to get out of bed, I usually end up staying in bed, right? Which is why when I think I should stop eating because I'm gonna get heartburn, and I keep eating, my heart still feels hungry. My head can think like, oh, I should stop eating however much it wants. As long as my heart is hungry, I'm still continuing to eating, right? So, when you notice what you're actually believing in your heart, that's like, oh man, my heart is hungry. Okay. Oh man, and the hunger feels visceral. Oof. Man, Billy. This is a different level of physical hunger, man. Like, yeah, Billy, you're feeling really deprived right now. Yeah. Man, of course, when you're feeling this deprived, of course you want to eat everything, right? Yeah, I get it. Yeah, so, okay. I see that I'm really feeling deprived and hungry. So what do? We're feeling like physically pretty full right now, but do we want to try and satisfy this urge? Like, or, I mean, which we can totally do. We're in charge of our lives. Or do we want to just kind of like, sit with this, and do we want to think about why we feel really particularly deprived right now? Why do we feel particularly hungry today? Well, so when you sit down, like free of phones, free of distractions, when you're actually sitting down with yourself and you being your partner and like, hey, what's going on, tell me. Yeah, man, well, fuck, man, you're feeling really hurt. Yeah. Wow, and but like, to be honest, fuck those guys. Yeah. You're feeling really hurt right now. Like, you gotta recognize that you're feeling really hurt. Mm-hmm. And when you do that kind of like deep understanding of like, oh, this is how I'm actually feeling. Okay. So it's not that I was like angry at the karma stuff. I'm just deeply hurt by the people by the events that happened from my friends who betrayed me. I feel really betrayed. How could they have done that to me? Oh, all those memories, and and how they can not, how they can speak those things about me. That's really hurtful to me. I'm really hurting from that. Yeah. Okay. So, okay. I'm sensing everything as unfair because, yeah, yeah. I'm feeling like, I did nothing to deserve this, but okay. Like, you have to sit and come to an agreement with yourself. And then when you are in deep understanding with how much you are actually hurting inside, and when you're like done, when you're kind of like settled with yourself, okay, all right, so what should we do now? Like, when you come to that stage, right, then you can read the comments again and try re-evaluating things. But as long as you're in that state of mind, it's gonna be really difficult for you to take in, for not just like you specifically, but for anyone to take in constructive feedback. It's kind of like I just got into a car crash and I'm like, my hands are shaking, but then somebody comes to me like, hey man, it's okay, man, just relax. Like, I can't do that when I just got into a car accident, like without prior training of like meditation and being with myself, right? Like, if I'm an ordinary person and then I don't do any meditation kind of stuff, and then my mom just passed away, like, Yeah, like of course I'm gonna get over grief at one point in my life, right? But then I can't like I can't reasonably expect without like prior connection to myself and like Buddhism practices to just be like, oh, okay, well I guess my mom passed, right? That's not something people do. So the injury of this person needs to be witnessed, not by other people. Of course, other people helps, right? Especially when they have no social support systems. Witnessing done by other people helps them foster a sense of witnessing by themselves, which is what they actually could really, really benefit from.